Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart. And do you hear a different jingle when you listen to this episode, or is that just me? So I actually decided to change the music for the podcast after podcasting for 5.5 years. It has been the same for 5.5 years. And if this is your first episode, sorry, but I'm going to assume that most people, this is not your first one. If it is, go back and listen to the really bad jingle that we've had for 5.5 years. But I decided to randomly change it really without warning. So the last 2 episodes have been different. And now I'm finally explaining. But it's so funny that I chose that jingle song thing really when I first started. And I was like, okay, like I was making all these decisions about how the website would look and what's going into the episodes and what the content and the interviews and just all these things that I've been doing new things long enough. Now I know not every decision has to be an, oh my gosh, that's a perfect fit thing. And that's not what it was with the music that I've been using. I know that it's only on the podcast for like 5 seconds at the beginning and a little bit longer at the end. So it's really not a big deal. And that's what I've told myself. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you don't love it, it's fine. Just move on. Done is better than perfect is how I've always done things. Just, okay, it's good. Everyone's happy. It's not the worst thing. Just move on. It's fine. There are other things to do, much bigger things. But finally, I just said, heck with it. I've been meaning to do this for the past year or more. And I went on Soundstripe, which is a royalty-free music site. It's where I got the first one. And I just went through and it took me about an hour listening to all the different ones. I was like, no, not perfect, not perfect. And I was like, I am going to like this one. Because when I first picked the first one, I went on Soundstripe and I listened to a couple and I was like, okay, yeah, this works. Because the song was called Inspire. That's what the song creator called it. And I was like, perfect. I want to inspire people on this podcast and that's what I'm going to use. Okay, I'll change it later. And the new song is actually called Magic, which I love equally, but I love it so much better. I feel like it fits the vibe a little bit better now. It's like soft and nice and a little bit inspiring, but it's better. When I go back and listen to some of the old solo episodes or even like solo intros, I just like gag at myself. I'm like, what are you like? I'm like, hi guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, calm down. Like, it's so funny, but it's so cool getting to see myself mature over the past 5.5 years with podcasting, even though I don't like to listen to ones. I was just telling my friend about how I was changing the jingle in this podcast. And she was like, oh, I actually don't listen to your podcast because she is not an artist. She's like, oh, I actually don't know what it was before. Let me go listen. I was like, no, stop. Please don't. Please do not listen to my podcast unless you are an artist and is going to find it useful. Absolutely not. That's just how I view it. I don't think anybody's going to listen. But then people tell me that they do later. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Okay, cool. That's nice. Anyway, I'm sharing that because I think it's fun to hear the behind the scenes kind of stuff of this thing. And also, if you are in the phase of making your website and deciding what font to use or deciding what pictures to use, like just throw up the first thing that sounds good because it doesn't matter all that much. It doesn't. Nobody has ever told me, wow, that song that you have at the beginning of the podcast, like it could be a lot better. Like it sucks. Or actually somebody has recommended, they're like, maybe you could have a really cool intro. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, but that's like the worst that anybody's ever said. So I'm like, I just don't think nobody's as critical as we are. So if you're stuck in decision paralysis, just put something up there and move on. And you can change it 5.5 years later if you really want to. So moving on. So recently, I was listening to a podcast, like I do every day, somebody else's podcast, some like businesswoman thing. I really don't listen to art podcasts. And I did one time and I was like, oh my gosh, they are so professional. I need to get my shit together. That, wow, okay. And it made me feel like kind of less than. And I was like, I'm just not gonna listen to art podcasts. I'm just gonna do my thing how I want to do it. And I'm gonna listen to other business motivational podcasts. Okay. So I was listening to a podcast the other day of a girl that said she did this challenge a while ago of making $100,000 in 100 days. And I was like, whoa, that sounds terrible. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, wait, maybe that could be fun. And then I started thinking about it more and I just talked myself into it. I was like, I am doing this. And hear out my reasoning. I'll probably have like part 1, 2, and maybe 3 about this 100K in 100 days to amp you up for it, because it's something I'm starting January 1. And for the first 100 days of January, when I would normally chill out and not be painting a lot and maybe just, paint for myself and like all that, like I am going to instead keep it ramped up. I'm in this like ramped up mode of like, I'm going to try all the things and get all the big business and help more people and put out 2 podcasts instead of 1. And like, I have my energy back. My son is 2. I feel like my sort of self again, or like the most I've felt like it in a long time, like 3 years almost. If there's ever a time to just go full force, it's now. And if there's ever a time to try for 100K in 100 days, it's now, or January 1st anyway. And mind you, I have things planned in the first 100 days of January. I have 3 trips that I'm taking that are already like, I've already collected income from that. So I'm not going to be making anything when I'm there. So I have 3 weeks in those 100 days that I am going to be on vacation. 2 are Mural meetup retreats, 1 in Costa Rica, 1 in Mexico, and then 1, my husband and I are going on a 5-year anniversary trip. So that'll be fun. So I have stuff planned. I have very little scheduled for January, mind you. I'm not going into this being like, I know I have a $20,000 project in January and February, so that's going to give me a leg up. I don't really have anything as of the moment. I have stuff right now and in December, but January and February and March are not really, but I think that's all the more reason to do this, because it's going to be tough, because I can't do a lot of exterior murals in January, February, March, but that just adds to the fun of it. Okay. Like that's where my mind's at. That's what I'm thinking about. And I think you should do it with me too. I'm going to be doing this within my small group coaching, and I'm sure I'll share little bits of it on the podcast and little bits of it inside of the Artist Academy membership, but I'm going to be sharing the 100% of it inside of my small group coaching, where I coach muralists specifically on how to start and grow their mural business and get big paying jobs and small paying jobs with murals. Because a small paying job with a mural is like $500, which is pretty good. But I welcome you to do this along with me. And also my reasoning is this year, I have basically treated like I normally would in the first of the year. The first of the year for me typically looks like slowing down and doing stuff for myself and, staying cozy on the couch, not doing a whole lot outside, like just relaxing, being lazy, for lack of a better word. And I did that so much this year because I've had low energy, I've had social issues. But other than that, I've just taken a step back. Like I have hustled for so long, and the past while I've been raising a little baby, and which is exhausting. So I was like, I'm just going to give myself time for myself this year. And I learned so many new things like gardening and baking sourdough and just doing nothing. I did a lot of family stuff. I did a lot of just stuff that I wanted to do, and just things that in the past 10 years of being a workaholic, I didn't have time to do. And I rested. And so now I have the energy to do this stuff. And I also look back at this year and I'm like, wait. Now that we're in the 3rd quarter and 4th quarter, I was like, wait, I still have big income goals. Like I want to make 200K this year and I'm pretty behind. So I'm going to kick it in. And kicking it in this past 2 to 3 months has really shown me, when I put my mind to it, I can make some big bucks. And I'm like, okay, so I think my numbers, I don't know exactly what they are, but I want to say I made about $70,000 in 2 months these last 2 months. 70 grand in 2 months, coaching and doing muraling. By the way, it's not just muraling. I do two things. And so I also look at that and I'm like, okay, well, I'm almost there. Like I'm kind of almost did this in the last quarter, like if not all the way. That's what it's working on. And so for next year, I want to make 200,000 plus, maybe 300,000 if I'm being totally like, that is my internal goal. I want to make $300,000 in 2025. It's like, I'm even saying it out loud. I'm like, oh gosh, with working 30 hours a week or less, like no more than 30 hours a week. So $300,000 in 2025, working less than 30 hours a week. And I really, truly think I can do it if I stay focused. And one way for me to stay focused is to announce that I'm doing challenges like this and have people alongside me doing it with me, because I'm doing these small group coaching and I'm helping other artists, but it is helping me so much. I start my Mondays at 10 a.m. on a call with usually 3 or 4 other aspiring muralists, or some are like muralists who have been working at this for a while who just want more. And I start my day talking to them and we strategize and we brainstorm and I check in on them on what they've been doing and what's working for them. And I look at that and I help them tweak it and do more of these things. And I give them assignments, but I'm also giving myself assignments. And I'm also working through things as I'm working through them. And it is helping myself a ton. And it's helping them too, obviously. That's why they're paying me to do it. But I'm like, okay, I have unlocked something to where that I didn't have this year. Like I didn't have somebody that I had to meet on a Monday and say, okay, what have you done? I'm going to share what I've done, the outreach that I've done, the things that I suggest to do, what's working for me, what can work for you. That one thing has helped me amp it up so much. And it starts the day in a really good, positive way. Because the energy that I get from them talking to other artists, like that's really why I started the Academy, is because talking to other artists and helping other artists gives me life. It adds to this positive vibe that I carry with me. And it kind of like unlocks it. Like I don't walk around, hi guys, how's your day? Blah, blah, blah. I just, walk around pretty normal. But talking to another artist about business strategies and how to make money and do it, it unlocks something inside of me. And I'm like, let's go, let's do it. And I'm just overall happier. And they are too. I can tell it. And they tell me by the end of the call, they're like, yeah, let's do this. I'm like, yeah. So that is a strategy that I am using. And if you want to join me too, you can message me on Instagram. And I can tell you how to get into this thing, or I'll put you on a wait list, because we start January 1st and I don't have any links or anything right now. I'm not even really sure how much it's going to be yet. I know that I usually do $3,500 for 3 months of coaching. I know that I'm going to extend that. I don't know how much I'm going to extend it. Maybe 6 months, maybe to the end of the year. I don't know, but I'll probably keep the price at that. But it'll be for either 6 months or a full year. I don't know. You can message me. Usually the first people who message me get the best deals. So yeah, just don't be the last person, because I had 6 people in this small group coaching that I was doing and that I currently am doing. I had 6 sign up, and that just felt like a good number to me. I was like, I just want to start small. Let's just this. And then I had somebody else message me the next week. They're like, hey, I was thinking about joining. And I was like, can you wait? Can you wait until January? This is really all I want to do right now. They're like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, great. So if this fills up, I know that I'm not taking on more than 10. 10 is too much, but somewhere 6, 7 maybe in a small group coaching, and first come, first serve. If you message me now and it fills up before January, that might be it. I don't know. Likely it won't, but you never know. I am super protective of my energy lately. And if somebody is negative, if something overwhelms me, I just back away from it and just lean into the things that don't overwhelm me and are positive and give me life. That has also contributed to the income in the last couple months. I'm like, what do I like to do? What do I want to do? What do I enjoy? I'm not going to stress out over, making an email list and sending out a newsletter, like stuff like that is not my jam. I've done it. I've sold prints that way. It works. I have strategies for it inside of the Academy, but it's just not something that brings me life. going out and painting a mural does. It's exhausting, but it brings me life, especially when I have a helper with me that I can chat with, or sometimes just do it by myself and have a podcast in, and I'm just leaning into what feels good and doubling down on that. So I am doing $100,000 in 100 days starting January 1st. And I want you to come do it with me too. I think it'd be great. And if you don't want to join my small group coaching, that's fine. You can do it on your own. But I think a huge benefit is starting the year strong so that my year does not end up like this past year where I'm at the end of it and I'm like, oh crap, if I want to make my income goals, I'm going to have to work really hard during the holidays, which is fine. And it feels fine. But I want next year to be like, okay, I'm starting with a bang to where if I want to take the summer off, I can. And by taking the summer off, I mean like painting or working in general 1 to 2 days a week and just doing fun summer things like going to the beach or, just whatever, like spending time with family. Like usually every summer I'm feeling like more like that and not so much in the winters. In the winters, it's like, what else do we have to do? Stay inside and watch Netflix, or we can do some outreach. Okay, outreach is really not the most fun thing, but what I'm finding recently is putting myself into rooms where artists are not, going to meetings like the Chamber of Commerce, but other ones that I'm joining and I'm sharing with my small group people and like helping them to get into these rooms as well. Every area have rooms that you can get in where artists are not. Like I just joined this group recently and I just went to a meeting today and I got 3 jobs from that meeting. And I'm like, no other artists are here. It is crazy. I do save some of these strategies for my small group coaching. I have to. Okay. But if you think about what rooms you could get in your area, where are artists not? That's how I started my art career. And that's the strategy that I used. It's, Instagram is good and all. TikTok is good, but it's where all the other artists are. And I think, I'm always an advocate of posting and doing the videos and all the things and like having that brand awareness. But there's nothing like going somewhere where it's not overflooded by artists, specific Facebook groups, for instance. And I'm not going to tell you which specific, I am going to gatekeep a little bit for my small group coaching, but even just telling you, hey, go find some Facebook groups that don't have artists in them and post your art relative to what's in there. Like you can figure it out, right? It's not that hard. Or go into meetings with associations that have gotten together, business groups, like things like that. That's what I did today. And I got 3 jobs. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. And it's not just so much about hiding behind the keyboard and posting, going in person. There is nothing that trumps going in person. Starting the Roger the Raccoon thing. So I'm painting Roger the Raccoon all around Rogersville because we used to be known as the raccoon capital of the world. And I started to do that. And I sent off some stuff and I did some posts and I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to go door to door. And as soon as I did, it kickstarted it because I could talk to people. They weren't just like, wait, what is this? They didn't want to read a page on a website. Like I could be in person. And if they had questions and they were like, well, what about this? Like, can we remove it? Like, well, I could combat that right away. And then I could talk people into it and they could see that I'm a real person. And so I think there's nothing that compares to going in person and showcasing your ideas, your business, what you can do. It's a huge advocate for it. So that is one strategy that I am using to make 100K in 100 days. It's quick. Meeting somebody in person and having that connection or not. Like there's several people that I met today. One guy looked at me and was like, it's not a fit. I was like, okay, have a great day. That's just part of it. But some people will. And the people who will are like the ones. Because I met this one guy today and he's like, hey, I've been using vinyl to paint the truck trailers. He was like, it doesn't last very long. And like, he's like, I know that hand painted is usually costs more because, if it's the 3s, he's like, it can't be all 3. It can't be cheap, quick, and good. It's got to be, he's like, but I want it to be good and quick or something like that, but then I know you're not going to be cheap. And I'm like, you're right. Okay. You are just saying everything that I want to describe to customers. It's that hand painted lasts a long time. It's quality and it's going to cost at that rate. So I know that this guy, like, he has multiple trucks that I'm going to paint. And I'm like, I got that from one day, 1 hour today at this lunch thing. And it got me thinking, like, man, at the beginning of my career, hustling and really wanting to make something happen, it's like I was doing everything. I was going to knocking on doors, giving flyers and all the things. And then I had to do less and less of that. But not all the jobs that I was getting were big jobs. I was taking on every $400 to $1,000 job that I could get. And then eventually I was like, okay, no, I have a $1,000 minimum. And then, but what I want to go after is the bigger ones, 2 to 3, 5, 10, stuff like that, $1,000 jobs. And so I've been really picky, and it's really helped with time, the amount of time I'm spending not doing mock-ups for a $300 job or whatever. But as I'm getting pickier, there's not as much out there. So I had not booked out as far as I would have been, which is okay, because I'm not feeling very overwhelmed. And I've just been very cushy this past year or more to just kind of ride the wave of all of the effort that I've put in before. And it's worked. It's fine. But even just a small effort going out today and getting the bigger jobs, because I told this guy, I was like, look, it's going to be like $1,500 per side. There's 2 sides to this thing. It's $3,000 minimum per each one. And he has 7. And I was like, he's like, oh yeah, that's fine. I was like, okay, great. And it took me, it's hardly any effort at all to go do that. And I'm like, okay, what if I turn the dial up a bit? What if I did more things like this? Like and hire somebody to help me on with this. And just, I have the tools. I just need to not be lazy and turn it up, because my clock is ticking and we might have another baby next year. And so I'm like, okay, if I'm ever going to do this, it is right now. So I want to challenge you too, as to, what areas are you lacking in that could really bring in the jobs? Like, is there something you can sign up for? Is there a place you can go and paint out in the open? Is there a wall that you pass by every day that you're like, something needs to be on there? Like, maybe you should go pitch it. And then maybe when you go pitch something to that wall and you get it, you go out there at the most high traffic times of day and you paint, because painting in public is the most advertising thing. Like, people walk by all the time, and yes, they try to talk to you and it can be slightly annoying, but it's like, it's advertising. And just getting out there and doing it rather than waiting for stuff to come to you. I do it too. I just kind of wait for things to come to me, and it's nice and it's better. But if you don't have jobs coming in, maybe more effort needs to be put in, and maybe where the effort is, you're just not doing it. Or if you don't know, then join the academy. And I have plenty of videos for you. Or if you want me to give you personalized instruction in small group coaching every single week and hold you accountable to it, then that small group coaching is for you. And one of the girls that I'm coaching made her investment back in the first month. Like, yeah. So now we have 11 months of meeting every week. And I'm going to show you how to grow your business. And you could 12x what you made, at this rate. Totally possible, or more. Murals are so profitable. But sometimes you have to spend money to make money. Like the room that I paid to get in today, I paid to get in it. It wasn't a lot. It was like $100 to join for the year. But I mean, I knew that I was going to make it back. I was like, yeah, take my money. Literally take, you have no artists in your group, take my money. I knew that I was going to make it back tenfold, easy, in 6 months or less. Sometimes investing in things that will help you, it will make you go so much faster. It really, if I hadn't invested to get in this group, it wouldn't have, those opportunities maybe would have happened, but it wouldn't happen this soon. I was messaging an artist. She messaged me about getting mural advice. And I was like, oh, actually, I cover this in my book. It's $17 for the audio. And she puts back, she's like, oh no, I'm not looking for paid help. And I'm literally like, you are holding yourself back so much. I don't tell her that, obviously, because you can't tell somebody that. But in my head, I'm like, if somebody handed me an audiobook or a written book or whatever in the beginning of my mural career that literally maps out how to do this, I would have just fallen to the floor and been like, thank you so much. Like, you've saved me so much of just banging my head against the floor. And I tried to just give this book to somebody for $17, by the way. And she's like, oh no, I'm looking for free help only. I'm like, oh my God. Like what? And that's what I think about when there are groups out there for artists to join. Or really paying for a gallery to represent you is kind of part of this too. Yes, the gallery takes a lot, but would you make those sales if it wasn't there? I mean, if you could, then you wouldn't be using them. If I was lined up with really big paying jobs, I wouldn't be needing to join this group, but I do. So, because I don't want to do the small stuff anymore. I want to do the big stuff. And I know that being in front of business owners is where the big stuff is. And sometimes it costs to get in front of business owners, unless you know where they meet for coffee every week and can just go and buy them a coffee, which that doesn't happen. How much would you pay to get a $10,000 job? Like, would you pay $1,000 to get a $10,000 job? Say it wasn't yours. You were not going to get it otherwise. Like, how much would you pay? So maybe that membership fee isn't so bad. Like, maybe that fee on Thumbtack isn't so bad. Maybe the cut that the gallery gets, like, I am so much for paying a little bit to make way more than that. And that's what the small group coaching is. That's what buying a $17 audiobook is. That's what paying to be part of a business-to-business group is. It's paying for ads, paying for Thumbtack leads. Like, it does work. I know it sucks. I know it sucks, especially when you join these groups and you don't get anything for the first couple of months, or you've had 5 Thumbtack leads and they haven't gone anywhere. It's like, maybe you need some help pitching on Thumbtack. Maybe you need some strategy, which I can give you, by the way, which I have videos of it inside of the academy, and it's there. Maybe you need a little bit of help. And there's nothing wrong with that. I needed a little bit of help all year, but I didn't reach out for it. I needed a little bit of help in motivation. I needed help with just help my health. And I spent money on that this year. Just between you and me, I probably spent like $2,000 to $3,000 getting my health where it needed to be. And that's why I have the energy that I have. It's because I didn't know that there were things that I could take to help my hormones level out. There were things that I could take. There are just tests that I could do. I did a blood test to figure out what foods that I was super sensitive to. And mind you, before I was waking up, having breakfast consisting of a glass of milk, a banana with peanut butter on it. Sounds healthy, right? It did to me. It's what sounded good. And then I took a food allergy test, or a food sensitivity test. I am super sensitive, like extremely sensitive to dairy or lactose. I don't know, whatever. I'm just staying away from milk. I haven't tried raw milk yet, but it's on the list. And also peanuts. So the only thing that I was eating that was actually doing my body good was the banana. I was starting off my day like behind. I had no idea. And so paying to get a little bit of help in there, like, it helps me tremendously. I would do this year over for sure. Yeah, I would do it over. Wait. Yeah. I am glad I made the decisions that I made. I stand by them because it's helped me to now, in the fourth quarter, just made like almost $70,000 in 2 months. That's crazy. Like, once I got everything in check, I have now with the small group coaching, I have people that I go to and, we have each other. And even though I'm coaching them, they're actually helping me too. Just show up and do things every single week. Because I think that's what it is, right? It's just showing up and doing some kind of action that puts you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Do something that's kind of annoying to you every week. And it all adds up. Annoying as in like outreach, or going to these meetings where you're like, hi, I'm an artist. Hello. Like, I do that too. I don't necessarily like meeting people as much, but I do it, and I am reaping the benefits of it. So if there's something that you can do that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, or if there's a book you could buy, it doesn't have to be mine, can be, it can be, but if there's some kind of coach or some kind of support group, something that you can spend a little bit to make a lot, I think that's where the key is. Unless you're completely killing it on your own and you're just, you have the motivation and the guts just to go out and do it on your own and you're doing great, then you don't need it. But if that's not the case, then maybe there's something. And it's different for everybody. Like, you probably don't have food allergies like I do, but that was what I needed to do. but figure out what you need to do and do it, because I'm going to be making $100,000 in 100 days starting January 1. And I would love if you join me either in the small group or just doing it alongside me. I would love if you tagged me on Instagram and said, I am joining the 100K challenge. Yeah, I might have some kind of link here eventually, maybe to join this challenge, or if you're interested in small group coaching, or if you're interested in anything, you can check the notes on here. But I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I just sat down to record after a long day. Okay, that's all I have for you today. But I hope that you join me. I hope you join me for the 100K in 100 days. And I hope that this gave some insight as to maybe something that you could do that you haven't been doing. Because if things aren't working, maybe something needs to be added or fixed or changed or something, but you know what's best for you. So that's it. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Artist Academy podcast. If you could do me a huge favor and share this episode on social media, if you liked it, or share it with a friend, or so. I'm trying to get the word out to as many artists as possible to be able to help coach as many artists as possible through the art and business wisdom that is shared within these episodes. I so appreciate every single time somebody shares an episode or a clip or whatnot on Instagram and tags me. I'm like, oh, people are listening. That's so cool. I also appreciate when anybody messages me and tells me, hey, that episode really helped me do blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, good. Love it. So I just wanted to say, I appreciate it when any of you do that. So thank you. I also wanted to remind you that if you are not where you want to be in your art business, you're not making the money that you want to make yet, and if you've been going at it a while and you're like, okay, this isn't going as fast as I wanted, or I'm just not receiving the results that I wanted, then I want to challenge you to think, like, what other thing could you be doing? Could you be stretching yourself a little bit further? Could you be going out of your comfort zone a little bit more? Or maybe it's time to hire help of somebody who's been there and has done that and has been through the challenging times that you have and has made videos on how I've gotten through it and how I've done things better and all the behind the scenes within my Artist Academy membership. It's only $37 per month, cancel anytime. And it showcases everything that I have learned in my art business. And it helps you learn to get there a little bit faster, or a lot faster, in terms of some of my students who I have helped quit their jobs and go full-time. And some even make six figures. We have plenty of six-figure episodes here on the podcast if you want to dig back into those as well. But the resources are there, and it's up to you to know what you need, especially going into 2025. If 2024 did not go the way that you thought it would, or it's just freaking slow growth, maybe there's something you can add, and whether it's the membership where you can dive into content at any time, or I have this other small coaching group that I meet with every single week. So every Monday we meet and I give you a task of something to do that week that will help grow your art business the ways that I'm doing it too. So I'm basically just telling you, hey, I'm doing this week within my art business. How about we all go out and do this? And then I'll hold you accountable. And then I'll check in with you next week to make sure you did it. And I'll be here for you directly in this small group that we have. Currently we have 6, and I'm opening up maybe 6 more spots, maybe 7. I don't know. But I want to take on another small coaching group because I'm seeing the impact that it has on my own business and the people who are in it. And I really like this. I like the energy that comes with every Monday meeting with other artists and talking strategy and figuring out how we can both make more money in our art business. So if you're not scared to make a bigger investment than $37 a month, which is the membership, if you're not scared to make a slightly bigger one to get the bigger jobs and have more accountability because you've decided that 2025 is the year you are going to do it no matter what. That's the energy that I want in this small coaching group. That's the energy that I want around me all the time. It's, hey, I'm doing this. I'm going all in, not at the sake of family time and free time and all that. But like, I am going to be super productive in the time that I need to be. And I promise I'm going to do exactly what you say. Then I want to invite you to join my small coaching group. We meet every Monday and you can be personally coached by me all year. go to the link here. I have different links for if you want to just apply for the $37 a month membership. If you want to go into the small group coaching and get more information, I have everything. All the links are here. So you can go to artistacademy.co or artistacademy.co/2025 is for the small group coaching. But just check the notes and you will see all the things. Okay, thanks for listening to another episode of the Artist Academy podcast. I will see you next week.